All right.
Episode 8.
Here we go, buddy.
It's a great thing for an episode of a podcast series. It means we made it 2 months now.
Yeah. 8 weeks.
Horrible thing as golfers. And 8, snowman.
I know.
It's not a good
That
score.
would suck.
It does suck. You're acting like you've never had
I've
one.
never ever done that before in my entire life.
I would hate the sport of golf if I ever got an 8.
There has legitimately never been one day when I got an 8.
Yes, ever. I remember there was a lot of 8s in the early days of
Do you
John
remember
Play.
when we started golfing, dude, and you beat me by like 30 strokes?
Yeah,
consistently.
Legit. And just so we're clear, we're pretty candid about where we've come as golfers so far. But for any of our golfing avid golfers out there that are listening as well, I know there's a few of you firsthand that I know are big golf enthusiasts like us. So you'll appreciate this. That wasn't because I was shooting 70. I was shooting mid 90s.
No, you were shooting like 100.
And my personal best was like my first personal best at that point still was a 95. Like that was my like Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Try to get past the 95 plateau because I'd done it 4 or 5 times. And yeah, you'd put up like 120,
130s.
Matt, one of my lifelong best friends, the three of us pretty much played all the time. We still played tons together. We all got memberships last year together. Yeah, and Matt would put up 110.
Yeah, exactly.
15. Like
I was the worst golfer.
I would beat Matt by 18, and then I would still beat you by like almost 2 strokes.
You know what the worst part of it was you wanted to play for money, dude. You wanted to play skins.
I know, I was a jerk.
I know, right? There was one round where you got like, what was it, like 20 of the like 22 skins or something like that.
Yeah, that was wicked. That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
We never settled up.
No, we never.
I think that was the right thing to do. We never settled.
I think so, because after the first like 3 rounds, we realized that it was going to be absolutely impossible for me to pay you back.
I know. I'm too competitive sometimes. And the worst part is pretty much like Matt beats me for the first time in 25 years of friendship. Like legitimately, he'd never beat me until that one round he beat me. And I think it was at the Dunes, or it was somewhere where he played where he actually beat me the first time.
Right.
And then pretty quickly after that, like we ditched the skins. I'm like, skins aren't so fun anymore.
You're like, this isn't fair to John. It's like, oh yeah, now it's tough. Hey,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But looking forward to golf season coming back.
Yeah.
Episode 8, the Snowman.
Episode 8. For everybody who doesn't know, I'm John. This is Kev. Right.
Hello. This is Diary of an Indie Band.
Absolutely.
I love our intros. Just keep getting longer and longer before we mention the app. We're eventually just going to do it backwards. It's going to be like the movie Memento. We're just going to end with the intro at the very.
By the way,
an hour in, and this is Diary of an Indie Band, episode 8. We just cut fade to black. So yeah, how was your week, man?
Yeah. The week was really, really good. We got lots of good feedback on our last episode before we move into that too. So I just wanted to thank everybody who tuned into that episode. If you're on Spotify, Apple, iPods, as Kev calls them, but your Apple Podcasts, rate us 5 stars if you want to just help us out that way. Yeah, that'd be great.
It is really good.
It costs nothing to do it.
Takes 2 seconds, and if you rate the podcast, it actually helps with their we were looking into this stuff a lot. It helps with their algorithms and actually getting the podcast out there to more random listeners and people. So it will mention, if you like this podcast, you might be interested in. Diary of an Indie Band might pop up in their algorithms. So shoot us a 5-star rating. If you feel we deserve a 4-star, then 3-star, 2-star, 1-star, then that's fine. We're not going to tell anyone what to do, but a 5-star would be nice. I think we deserve it. We're nice guys.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And thanks so much everyone that continues to support us. Last week's episode was it was a new thing. We, as you know, if you've listened to all our eps so far, we'd never had someone outside of LooPS on one of our eps, and it is going to be a rare thing. We want to make it special. We've been pretty candid and open about the fact that we know our strengths, we know our weaknesses, we know the things we're good at and the things we're decent at and the things we're great at. We also know the things that we don't really have any experience at, and we like to respect the craft of entertainment in all facets. We're really good at talking and telling our story and interacting, and we got some great rapport, and I think that's why these 8 episodes have been so fun and easy for us to do.
Yeah.
And also hand in hand, why so many people have enjoyed listening to us.
And continue to listen.
Exactly. We got a new listener. Where was it, John?
Taiwan.
Yeah. We had a listener in Taiwan this last week. So thank you very much, whoever was listening in Taiwan. I would like to think maybe it's one of the members of the Canadian National Olympic team that was down in the Eastern Hemisphere. Yeah. And they went on a day trip to Taiwan and listened to Diary of an Indie Band while they were gone. But whoever was listening, thank you so much. Check it out again. Tell your friends. But we going back to my point. I mean, we know what we're good at. We also know that what we're not good at. So we're not interviewers.
Nope.
I think there's 1,000,001 podcasts out there, and I mean, not everyone can just jump in and start interviewing people, man. You got to be really good at that. You got to know what you're doing, and it takes an acquired skill set to actually interview people. So we're not going to pretend to be interviewers. We're not going to insult our audience and insult the people that we're interviewing by pretending like we know what we're doing. We're not going to fumblefuck our way through it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, like, that being said, we enjoyed, having Jeremy on, and
when
we were
it wasn't an interview, to my point, right? It didn't feel like an interview.
It was more of a conversation, right?
Just get Jeremy on. Chat. Exactly. Right? And I think the response was good enough that we're going to do that some more.
Yeah.
But it's being very selective. We're not going to do it all the time. If you get someone on there as their diary entry in their episode, it's going to be a special treat. It's not something we're just going to do all the time.
You've got something in mind, shoot it our way. DIB@officialloops.com. That can be a top 5 request. If you want us to talk about a certain top 5, send us your top 5s.
That's a great idea.
If you got a guest that you think would be cool for us to talk to, we'll
let us know.
Talk about it or think about it or
if
whatever
you
else.
Want to come on and talk and you're an artist and you have a story to tell,
absolutely,
shoot us an email.
And then the other thing too is send us your new music. We love hearing new music, so especially for artists out there who are looking to help promote themselves and get their sound out there as much as possible, we love doing that. That's why we're doing this.
It's 100% why we're doing this. It's a way for us to give back. We've always said since day one, it's twofold, right? We're doing it for ourselves. So we have an accountability checklist every single week. I've been loving how 2022 has started out for us.
Yeah.
I know you have too. Even just something as simple as being like, it's Thursday already. I don't feel like I've been that productive this week. I got to hustle because what am I going to say on Sunday when we're recording the episode? Like, how was your week? Well, played a lot of Red Dead. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Right? Like it gives us that kind of accountability.
Sure.
And as well, being it twofold is the other thing is we can give back a little bit to our peers because I've said it 1,000,000 times and I'll continue to say it. A rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah.
And we very much would love the opportunity. Even now, like we would love the opportunity to be on some random podcast in some random city. We don't have to know the people. That's okay. It just expands your fan base a little bit. And every little bit adds up. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. Right?
Absolutely.
And just because you're 2,000 miles into, a 10,000 mile journey, for example, doesn't mean that you're not still taking individual steps the entire way. It's multiple small steps that add up. So if we can help be one tiny step in someone's long journey, why wouldn't we want to do that? And we enjoy it. And shout out to some of the people that have actually already built a relationship with us to this point as well, right? Yeah. Evil Tongues. Shout out to those guys because they are an amazing duo that they didn't just say thanks for us being on, for their song being on our podcast. They shouted it out. How many times, John? Multiple times on their social media, put posts up a week later saying, hey, check out LooPS, check out this. And that's not why we did it, just to be clear.
Yeah.
But we're humbled by it. We appreciate it. The more people that can potentially listen to our podcast and supporters we can gain, that's awesome. And you know what? It makes me want to talk more about Evil Tongues and maybe we'll get them out here one day.
Exactly.
Because we're all going to be in this together. We're all trying to we have the same aligned goal. And sometimes you get in competition and you're like, it's like running the Boston Marathon. If I'm not winning the Boston Marathon, which in this analogy would be like Ed Sheeran or someone, if I'm not the guy finishing first, I should just want to finish the race. I don't have to compete against the guy beside me because we're both doing this crazy accomplishment. As long as we get to the finish line together, that's all that matters, man. Like that's the key. We did something spectacular. And if we can all do it together, it's better for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more with you. I mean, usually that's how things go, right? We kind of have the exact same mindset, right? Yeah. Which obviously helps us and why we do what we do and why we've been a group for as long as possible. I mean, there have been so many groups since the start of COVID. I forget who I was talking to this past week who said, so many people have given up on their dream of playing music, or those hobby musicians, just haven't continued to move forward. And then that's not on them not being talented or unmotivated, but other things get in the way and people have to solve for whatever reasons come up to them.
You know what, Jay? I think, and to your point, I think a big tell in life that I've found since I was young, very, very young, but I don't know if anything's even more true than this, is that adversity reveals character. It really, truly does. And there hasn't been more adversity in the music industry, period, since, you could say when streaming started, all these things were different. There were different roads that the industry was taking. there wasn't adversity, like straight up gigging musicians cannot play gigs.
Right?
Like,
Yeah. Well, think about like
play.
house bands who are playing every single Friday. They weren't even allowed to play any Friday.
Dude, and we're in different lanes because we make original music. We're putting out albums. We're completely different than house band like Shadow Blue. I'll give them a shout out because they always put on a great show at the Grotto here in Kamloops. A band like that, they're just a gigging house band, cover band. They put on an awesome show. They're in their lane and they love it and they're awesome at it.
Yeah.
I know a whole bunch of people. Darren Jones is he's 10-year-long friend of mine. He's one of the best bassists in the city. Neil Brunn, we've talked about him a bunch, shouting out some of my friends, Scott Skomolsky. Amazing artists that they make a huge chunk of their living, if not almost all of it, just from playing these cover band gigs and doing an awesome job at it. That revenue is gone. People like us, you know, we put our head down and we changed our goals to fit the dynamics of society. But you're right. Yeah, there was a lot of people that
absolutely
when the push came to shove, they wilted a little bit.
Absolutely. And such a big thing of that too is adjusting and adapting and figuring out what to do. So, you know, I'm not trying to say like hats off to us for doing this or whatever.
No, but I'm proud.
But you know, I'm proud to say, you know what, I think that this week, you know, we're going to be talking about our album because that's coming out on Friday, and we're going to be talking about our album release party.
I'm smiling because anyone that's at home is like, there's John and Kevin. If there's one thing we know at this point, they could telegraph. If you read into the tea leaves as we're talking, you're like, I can see where there's always a master point we're making.
Yeah.
And the theme of this week is the album.
It's going to be mostly about the album. Right. So your
point is so apropos.
That's why I'm not, you know, shy of saying, you know what, I think that we did a super awesome job.
Yeah, man.
Like throughout the pandemic, right? Doing a couple different fundraisers. You know, one of them spanned an entire month where we were putting out a different song every single day.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Tell a little more about that. Why not?
I mean,
most people listening to this may not even know it exists.
Yeah. It's the Christmas Advent calendar that we did back in 2020. So less than a year into the pandemic, and we decided that we were going to put out a new song every single day. So it's either a cover or an original or a Christmas song, which obviously is a cover as well. But we would do a different one every single day for 24 straight days leading up to
video
Christmas. Exactly. Just like an advent calendar that you have with your chocolates in it or whatever you do at home.
Yeah. And we never let people know what it was, but at lunch, we were pretty diligent too. That was a lot of work. And you put in a bonkers. You've given me lots of credit even on the podcast of like all the work I've put in with help of Kevin Bartlett, obviously at River City Design, with the website, the work I did on the album cover. Well, man, like I can also,
and I'm just sitting here,
I can volley
ready
back
for the ride. Yeah.
I can. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's I couldn't be further from the truth. I can volley back and be like, man, you guys, you'll never truly understand the amount of effort and time that John put in making the videos and making everything edited properly. So those videos came out professional as we could do within our means and our knowledge and our experience for that advent calendar. But yeah, every day for 28 straight days, you'd open it up. And I think all those experiences doing, you know, for the veterans, for the Legion, raising money for the Legion, for the poppy sales on November, Remembrance Day, all the things that we did, I think they led to the topic of the week, the album.
Yeah.
They got us into a place where we were mentally ready to put our art out there on a larger scale.
Right.
Not just make it just for us, not just make an EP, not just make a single and have a big release party over a single, but to actually go and make an album that will last forever and be proud of that.
Yeah.
You know, we have a BC Music Hall of Famer, a legend who shared the stage with like John Paul Jones.
So a lot of this as well is also kind of tying into our week in review where, you know, we went and saw him. We went and saw Doug on Thursday because he was playing a gig.
I was finding a good way to segue.
Yeah, but he was playing a gig out in Salmon Arm, which is about an hour and a half from Kamloops here. Yeah. And he did an awesome show.
Oh my
Didn't
God.
know that we were coming out, so then we kind of just surprised him.
We did, yeah.
And he ended up chatting with you for, I don't know, 1 or 2 minutes before he ended up going on stage while I was trying to find a seat up at the front.
Yeah.
Right? So
he was so, I'm going to be honest, like it was one of, we throw the top 5 around so much, but in regards to humbling moments as a musician in the LooPS journey, that for sure is a locked in top 5. Humbling moment for me was Doug in the hallway, seeing me, just bumping into me and he was so happy we were there.
Yeah. Well, we had a Zoom meeting with him like the week before or
Yep.
something like that.
Yep.
I'm not sure if we chatted about that on the last podcast.
I think we did, because I talked about the respect of like the amount of time. Sometimes people brush people off, or they're
Right.
on a limited time schedule. And Doug spent like 2.5 hours with us, and he just wasn't in a rush.
Yeah.
So we stay in contact with Doug a ton. I've said it before. He's literally outright is mentoring us, and that's such an honor, because he's forgotten more than we know. And Doug, again, going to what I was saying. So in top 5 humbling moments, like Doug asked us he's like, hey, why don't you guys get up there and sing a song? And I'm like, with you?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, just you guys. And I'm like,
dude, it's your show.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you know this, but people paid tickets like $30 a ticket.
$30 a ticket, and it was sold out.
And it was sold out.
Yeah. We were trying to even do a head count. I didn't ask him because I didn't want to, it's not my business.
Yeah.
But we were counting the amount of tables. There's had to be at least 100 people that were there. Like it was busy. And
He was videotaping it. Like it was a
it's
recorded
not just video, but
performance.
audio recorded too. They're going to be doing it as an actual
live album.
It's going to be a live album. Linda McRae. So the band Spirit of the West, which majority of you hear that instantly, you know that's a big Canadian legendary band.
And anybody who's my age doesn't. But.
Exactly, 100%. But I knew when Doug told me Linda McRae was in Spirit of the West. And so they have this tour they're doing together, and some of the dates got cut because of COVID restrictions at the time. Now in hindsight, they could have done them, but they couldn't at the time. And yeah, he wanted us up on that stage while they're doing this recorded so I don't know if it's going to make it in it. It doesn't even matter if it does or doesn't.
That wasn't the point. Like we didn't go there for that at all.
We didn't bring a guitar.
Like, cool.
Nothing. Didn't bring your guitar.
Cool. We're here to support Doug.
We just went to watch our hero in a lot of ways, and our mentor. 100%. He's our mentor and our producer. He wears so many hats with us.
He does.
We're honored that he's our friend more than anything. So we wanted to go as our friend, and this was literally the closest place he was on this tour. I said it, and I know you agree. I can speak on your behalf even. I told Doug, I'm like, honestly, man, if you were 6 hours further and that was the closest place, you were in Prince George, we would have driven to Prince George. Like we would have had to see you. We would have done at a principal.
We would have found a way. Yeah.
At a principal, we would have been there for you.
Yeah.
So anyways, so long story short, so we cut back, and he's like, no, I want you guys to play. And I'm like, no, Doug, I mean, this is your night. And he's like, I want to get up there. I want to introduce you guys. I want to show you guys off.
Yeah.
And that would mean a lot to me. So I'm like, okay. I mean, that's one big thing I told you. I've talked with my family recently, and I did a lot of soul searching in the summer too. And sometimes my sister, Jen, I'll give her a shout out. She gave me some really good advice this summer. And John, we talked about this obviously off recording, but I'll share it with the podcast. It's when you're a good person, you carry yourself with a certain amount of integrity and pride, and your intentions are good. It's easy to fall into the trap of feeling guilty when someone's doing something really nice for you. And Jen said she had to have a big kind of moment in life where she really realized, like, you know what, if somebody, like case in point, my brother-in-law, Alex, who's amazing. He's probably our biggest podcast supporter. So we'll shout out, hey, Alex, like we know you're listening to this for sure. Alex is doing, tons of yard work, or he's working on, fixing the pump for their, their above ground pool. And Jen feels guilty because Alex is out there doing all this and there's nothing Jen can really do to help. And Alex says, no, I got it. And she had to realize, like, at the end of the day, Alex is a big boy. He's a grown up. He made the choice to do this.
Right.
So we talked about that too. And you were the same thing as me when I went after and they're playing their set.
I was just confused. I was
like, he wants us to play. And you're like,
I'm like, you must have misheard him.
I'm like, no, he wants us to. And I was like, no, we're good. And you're like, yeah, but no, I think maybe we'll politely decline. Like we appreciate it. But I'm like, hey, and we talked about that. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, he's a professional. If he wants to share a stage with us, that's actually an honor. He doesn't do that for anybody.
For a while. He's been around for a while. He was the one who booked us for the Vancouver Island Music Festival as well.
He runs one of the biggest festivals in Canada.
Exactly. So, yeah, just having
for him to do that, who are we to say no, right? At the end of the day, we're not asking for it.
No.
He offered it. So we humbly accepted. We're like, yeah, you know what, man? It would be our honor. It's a legit honor if you want us to do that. We're definitely not going to say no.
Yeah.
So then the next thing that was amazing about this story's turning even bigger than intended, but that's okay. I think it was a big highlight for our week. Was you pointed this out, John, that they did a full set and then there was a short 10-15 minute intermission. We assumed, honestly, I actually half assumed maybe he was like, you know what, while we're taking a break, why don't LooPS, and he'll introduce him, we would play during the intermission. Nope. Intermission comes and goes. After the intermission, they played a song, and then mid set Doug's like, okay, we're gonna take a second now, and I want to introduce you to two amazing guys. And I don't even want to paraphrase it because I don't want to not do justice to what he said. It was special to us, and we'll kind of keep it for us and the people that were there. But it was humbling, and he said some beautiful things about us. Made me feel just ecstatic on cloud nine that he's telling this to all these strangers that we're just people in the audience. Brought us up. We played That Won't Do,
which is
our first song on the album.
The very first song
we ever wrote together as a duo.
Yeah.
And it shows off both of us. It's a good, the vibe fit the room perfect.
Yeah, and I think that we've talked about it before, but we'll chat about that a little bit later on as well. When we break things down a little bit later on.
Of the album,
But yeah, no, I mean,
it was a perfect choice.
I think it was the perfect song for that setting.
But we played it, and it was awesome, man. And we've played a ton of shows, but the feedback from people after the show, they weren't there to see us. This was just a bonus.
It's true.
The things people were saying,
Doug didn't even know that we were going.
Yeah, Doug didn't know. Right? Yeah. And it was super humbling, man. It was a really cool moment.
Yeah.
Where somebody, like I said, that has shared the stage with legends, has literally toured with Katie Lang and like these legends of legends, man. Yeah. John Paul Baudry is like, are you kidding me? Like,
I know.
The guy that literally helped Elton John come out of the closet. I think I've told the story on the podcast before, but like Elton John's idol and hero. Yeah. And he literally called himself Elton John. The John and Elton John was after John Paul Baudry.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He shared the stage with those people, and he not only, our relationship aside, he brought us up onto his stage on the special night. And same as Linda McRae can't sleep on the fact that it's not Doug's show. It was the two of them together. Linda also endorsed that and was stoked to have us up there.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of friendships. Those are the kind of people that I'm proud that we've fostered.
For sure.
Everyone else can have any opinions they want on LooPS, left, right, and center. Those are the kind of opinions. I wouldn't trade the relationship with someone like a Doug or a Linda for anyone in the world, man. I wouldn't. I'm so honored that we got that. That's my, like, I don't even want to talk about anything else we did this week.
We can't even get into it because
I'm too excited.
This is kind of like Doug raving episode because I mean obviously like
the album
we've got so many great things to say about
this
him.
is the quasi Doug Cox episode.
The amount of knowledge that he has and the amount of wisdom that he carries and that he also passes off freely like to us.
Oh dude, he's told us
you can
things.
pay for that stuff,
yes,
right? But there's nowhere near
how many times has he told us if we need to fix something? How many times has he said, hey, get this better, fix? Man, I did. Kevin Bartlett, River City Design, that helps us do our webpage, and he's integral to our team. Kevin would be the first one to vouch for the fact that it's like, hey, we had a good meeting with Doug. We got to fix this, and this on the website. This, and this, like so many things, man. The album cover, it's one of the things I want to talk about a little bit later as a little teaser, but it was one of my highlights of the album process. Like that was, man, I spent like 5-6 weeks tearing my hair out trying to make the perfect album cover because Doug was like, hey, I love your guys' logo. I think just having a black logo with the little white loops as an homage to the White Album,
right?
That's great. 4 albums from now, but at the beginning, you
get there first, boys.
You got to get there,
exactly,
right? Yeah. And you know, man, how many Amazon books did I buy of like 1,000 album covers just to inspire myself?
Yeah,
but that's because when Doug tells us to jump, we say how high on the way up. Yeah, and it's because we have that much respect for him.
Absolutely.
This is the Doug. Our goal is that if Doug listens to this, we want to make him turn red.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like Jeremy.
Right? Yeah. So, I mean, that being said, I mean, we're not going to keep going on about the week, but I mean, we had a great show on Friday. We had a great gig.
It was amazing.
It was really awesome. It was the first time that dancing was allowed back in BC.
And there was a birthday party there.
And
they wanted to dance.
And everybody wanted to dance. And Alina, my girlfriend, was dancing over there instead of helping out at the merch table. Alina, she'll listen to this later on.
We don't pay you nothing for nothing.
Yeah, exactly. No, she's great.
She's amazing.
Yeah. But no, it was awesome. It was really, really great to see people up and dancing, and
that was one
for the majority of the night as well. Like everybody was just
that was another thing I wanted to.
Time.
Yeah, I wanted to give that quick shout out to you, and a highlight of my week as well. To be honest, was the fact that during the show, the party where they were in their own separate area of match. So if anyone's been to match before, there's like kind of a closed off area you can reserve for parties and stuff. And there was like about a dozen of them, a bunch of ladies. They were awesome. They were having a 40th birthday party for one of their friends. And they were like, yeah, we'll come out, but you guys we need some dance music. We'd already done like one of our sets. guitar set. We were literally, we'd already.
But they didn't hear it. They were in the other room.
They were in the other room, and we were about to start our piano set, which I love. I love the piano sets.
Yeah, cool.
I can really do some fun ballads. We have some amazing harmonies, radioactive. Like I love it's probably my favorite part of what we do is a piano set for myself. But it's not about us. It's about the experience of the audience.
Yeah.
And one song in, we were like, you know what? Let's just pull an audible, man. Let's ditch the piano and let's just go high energy. Baby One More Time. All our fun. Yeah, our fun. And you by the end, your fingers were raw.
Oh, yeah.
My voice was like, the energy was that much higher. Like my voice was sore. Like it was intense, but I'm proud of that flexibility that we have. I think it's something special we bring to the table. Not a lot of bands can do that.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of stuff on the fly. Like, I don't know how many times we've played that, like a majority of the songs that we played that night, we had done either for the first time or maybe the second time total.
That's so funny. Yeah. We were having a chat like hours ago in the kitchen. We ended up just in these random powwows and we hadn't had a chance on Saturday to really kind of debrief on our show, which we normally do. And yeah, that was the big thing you pointed out. You're like, man, how many did we actually do? Like, it's got to be a dozen songs that we had only played once or twice. And some of them were like 6 months ago. We played it at one show as a request.
Because they're high energy. I mean, like, it works. And it all worked out like so perfectly, especially for like our first or second run through them.
And let's be clear, when we say high energy, for some people, Alex is a good example because he's never seen a live Loop show. If you haven't seen an actual Loop show in person, that doesn't mean that all we do is like slow melodic because we're great at that.
Exactly. I guess we should make that clear.
Yeah, just to be clear, 60% of our show, 70% is like that boom, driving fun stuff anyways.
Well, that's what people want to hear in bars.
But we've also we've kind of painted ourselves into a corner where just no one ever expects it, but on our own habits and our own egos, even, let's be honest. And it's as much as we pat ourselves on the back, we're also willing to admit, if we have flaws. It's almost probably a flaw at this point that we'll play a 3-hour show and take a 5-minute break.
Yeah.
That's great when we can pace ourselves.
Yeah.
When you're doing now, you've translated from 40% of driving energetic, high energy songs, 60%, whatever that ratio is, to 95% over 3 hours with a 5-minute break.
90 plus. Yeah.
Right? Like, that's a different ball game. Like, you were spent all day yesterday. I remember seeing Alina at one point. She was making supper and I'm like, how's John doing? She's like, he's not sick. He's not anything. He's just exhausted. Like, he's just spent all day.
I was so tired. Well, and the thing too is we also went half an hour later than we were scheduled to perform.
Yeah, it was actually cool.
But that was because we didn't know that we were past our time. Nobody came up to us. Nobody told us to stop.
And then we were going to stop, but we got an encore asked for us. They're like, can you play more? We're like, well, we're never going to say no. That's rule number one as a musician. Like, you're insulting your audience if they ask for an encore. You don't at least give them one, right? And that's not about the ego of the artist. That's just straight up give the people what they want. So yeah, we went till like 11:30. It was all in all, it was an awesome experience.
It was tough cleaning up after, man. I've never had such a sore back, and like I'm 23, so like I don't get a sore back ever in my entire life, but I did after that show.
You're trying to say you did all the heavy lifting?
I did. I was carrying the weight of the team on my back.
The weight of the team. I got a sore back from lifting your heavy ass.
Exactly, man.
For 3 hours.
It's true. 3.5, man.
Yeah, 3.5. It was awesome. Great week.
Yeah, we're excited to be back. So we'll be back at Match March 18th.
Yeah, March 18th.
Barside will be.
We're playing another match as well. I don't remember the exact date.
We're in Vernon.
In Vernon as well. Another
19th.
Match on the 19th. So the next night. So that weekend's going to be match.
Yeah, I mean, in the next 3 weeks coming up, I mean, we've got, I don't know, 5 or 6 gigs.
Yeah, we do.
Between Kamloops, Kelowna, Vernon. Just off the top of my head.
We get the album release, and then the next night we go to Kelowna.
Yeah.
The next week we're at Barside.
Yeah. Week
after that, we got match. So it's gonna be fun. It's perfect timing because the album's coming out next week. We'll talk about that.
Dancing's allowed, man.
Dancing's
people
allowed.
Want to dance.
I know. I say it all the time at shows. It's like this is like Footloose, and now people can finally dance.
Exactly.
So I think that wraps up the weekend. This is by far the longest weekend review
We've never
ever.
talked about this. Yeah, the week for this long.
By far, but that's okay because a lot of this ties together anyways with our new music and our top fives. It's all the same theme. There's
we're just chatting about stuff.
Yeah, we're not hiding it. The theme this week is the album coming out.
Yeah.
It drops on Friday worldwide, 9 a.m. in BC time, 12 p.m. in Ontario. That's the debut. That's when the show is. We've fine-tuned our website, like I said before, a lot. So there's different places we can send you to go find the album. Facebook event we made for it. John, you made a really cool event for that. We made some cool posters. Effie Collective has, but you know what? If you need tickets for the album, honestly, the easiest place to go, just go to officialloops.com.
Yeah.
Truly, that's the easiest way.
It is.
That's all I can say.
Yep.
Like, just go there. You can find them in 20 different places, but that's the place where you'll find them the easiest. And then just go to the events. Boom. We have a nice tab there. It says buy tickets now. $20 each. Super easy, super cheap.
It is.
And
for like a full album, man.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to be playing the entire album. We got Jeremy Nishaw opening for us, who obviously was on the podcast last week.
Yeah. And then at the end, we're going to play together with Jeremy. We're going to play a bunch of songs. It's going to be a memorable night. We have some really cool merch that we already said we have the merch that we talked about last week.
We've got 11 or 12 numbers already taken.
Yeah,
out of the 50.
About a dozen numbers. Yeah. So if you have a specific number you want to put aside, let us know so you don't get that number snagged on you, because this isn't I'll give you 10 extra bucks if I can still have number 22 as well. It's like, no, 22's gone. Like this is actually a limited of 50 run. Every number is going to be accounted for. Each shirt is going to have a designated number for it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Just, like that's just straight up. So we want to make sure people get those. People are being really expressing a lot of interest in that. It's pretty awesome. The album's going to be available while we're there. We have face like it's cool. There's a whole little pack.
It is. Yeah.
We're really excited about that. And the other thing as well is if you do follow our social medias, you'll see that we have even glow in the dark hats now.
It's cool.
That match the logo at the top of, like, on the album cover, the loops with the outline. Like it's I'm so proud of how those turned out.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kyla and the team at All About Imprint. I don't know where we'd be without them.
No, they've helped us so much along the way. And
Kyla is literally a part of Loops. Like I mean that with full certainty. She's amazing. We wouldn't be anywhere without her. She's been awesome. We love our merch. People love our merch as well. And none of it's possible without her support. So thanks, Kyla, if you're listening to this.
Absolutely.
We love you. You're part of our team. And there's going to be cool hats. We sold some of them on Friday, even just as a test run. We brought them out and people were like, yeah, I'll take one of the glow in darks. Why not?
Yeah.
If you go to Instagram, you'll see it. Most recent post. It's really cool.
It is pretty cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
So let's get to our top fives.
Top fives. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because sometimes we go back and forth between new music first, and sometimes we go to top fives, but I think that it'll be a nice transition from top fives into new music.
The new music.
Yeah. Because what we're going to be doing for this week for our top fives, we're going to be chatting about the LooPS album.
The album.
Whoa.
LooPS.
What? Who would have guessed?
Yeah.
Right? But we're going to be chatting about our favorite experiences or moments that happened on the album. So I'm not sure what I'm going to condense it to when I actually put the title for the podcast or whatever. But
because we always have, you always
be top
make
five.
Some cool creative, but top five.
I don't know what it's going to be.
Top five favorite album moments, maybe.
I don't know.
But I mean,
like that.
I think we're both on the same page, right? You're on the same page with me that our top five theme this week is, and this is one where unfortunately I don't really think anyone else can. We always say, hey, send us your version of what our top five is. I'm not really sure.
It's very personal.
Maybe Doug. Doug might be able to give us his top five.
Yeah.
But other than that, this couldn't be more specific.
Doug's like, you guys remember then when you guys had the 16-hour day in the studio? I hated that.
He's like, that was
Why
my
didn't we have
not
2
top.
days separated into 8-hour sessions?
You already planned to be here the next day.
Yeah.
Because we were having fun.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and we were all rolling.
Yeah, we were rolling.
So that's
we were
what
in
it
a groove.
Doug wasn't thinking that in the slightest.
I know.
Yeah. So that being said, I do want to hear your top five first.
Beauty.
Because we might have some that cross over here.
Absolutely.
And I want to hear what you got.
Well, in our tradition, so I have an honorable mention and I have 5.
Oh God.
As we know.
Okay.
So I'm liking the honorable mention. It's now really bleeding into
top 6.
A true top 5 Kevin list, for the record, has like 8 or 9 things on it. So eventually my top 5 is just going to have 10 things. But keeping to the theme, it's got to have 5. No particular order. Top 5 favorite moments from the entire process of making the album.
I like it.
Are there any that you think are on my list that you can guess? Because I like doing this. It's fun. I think you can legit get 1, 2, 3 minimum.
So you mentioned earlier today when we were kind of chatting about this, but didn't tell each other what the list would be.
Yep.
The first thing would be from basically day 1, which was writing That Won't Do.
Ooh.
Did it make it?
No.
Oh,
That Won't Do.
That's kind of interesting. It's not on my list either.
Okay.
But kind of an interesting
cool
story.
Moment, though. Absolutely.
Where, I mean, that was the very first song that we ever wrote. We talked about it, I mean, in a podcast recently where we were chatting about our top 5 favorite movies.
Yep.
Right? And Inside Llewyn Davis inspired me to write that riff.
You had it in your head all night.
Iconic. right
I
now.
make jokes even because we're roommates, and everyone and their brother knows if they listen to the podcast. John and Alina live in the basement, but for a year it was just John. Like he was single and he lived in the basement. And I've made that joke a few times at shows where John had it in his head the entire time, and then I wake up in the morning and John's like, "Hey, yo, dude, wake up! I got the song in my head," and I'm like, "It's 3:00 in the morning."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which isn't exactly how it went down.
No, that's not how it went down at all for the record. Exactly. It was like lunch the next day.
Yeah, we wrote it in the afternoon.
But it's a funny, it gets a good laugh.
But that first song that we ever wrote, I mean, we were still figuring out how to write songs, honestly, like as a team.
Right?
For sure. Because like I had written songs, I had written an EP, and by that time you had written countless songs beforehand as well, which some of them have crossed onto our album one way or another.
Yep. But at the trust of knowing what the other guy is able to do or make changes to is big, right?
Or what you're writing
each other out and not knowing exactly.
Right? Like, what do you do? Like, I kind of came to you with...
We were still new with that.
Like a rough idea of like where I wanted to do, and I was using a lot of loop pedals at the time as well, and I'm just like, we're going to use all these like oohs and ahs and all that kind of stuff in the background, and then it's like, but do we need it? It's basically what you said.
Exactly.
And it's like, I guess not. Like, we don't need to do that, right?
Well,
but it wasn't like I didn't have faith in you. It was more just that I didn't.
There's that process, right? And nowadays, like we'd been playing together for 3/4 of a year, consistent, but we'd never been a band where our entire fate is relying on yourself and the other guy.
Yeah.
Completely, truly, 100% invested in the other person.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes a big leap of faith, and that takes trust, but that also takes time. You don't just get that on day one, right?
Exactly.
We had to build that. You had to build the trust that we have moments. So, man, how many times have we had a harsh, like, heart-to-hearts where we're like, you know what? This is something that's important to me, but hey, if you're willing to put your foot down, like if this is a foot down moment, we allow ourselves to have like the put the foot down moment because we trust each other enough and we know.
And even beyond that, we've had a lot of... I'm not going to say a lot of, but we've had a good amount of times where it's also tough love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I don't think you're going to want to hear this, but
100%.
I'm going to tell you it because you need to hear it.
Yep.
Right. And you know what? We've gotten some of our best stuff because of that.
And truthfully, to your point, that doesn't work if the trust isn't there to know that the guy's intentions are pure.
Exactly.
It doesn't work right away at the start.
Yeah.
So yeah, that won't do is awesome. Not on my list. It's not on your list. No, it's okay though, because this is a good way. This is the whole point of what we wanted with this.
We're trying to chat about the album.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're trying to talk about all this kind of stuff.
So today's top 5 can be the new music is just, we're both, just as a teaser, just so you guys know, we're both just going to give you a song from the album that we both really like, that you haven't heard yet. That's one of our 2 singles so far.
Exactly.
As a little tease for when the album comes out next week. But so that's going to be probably the shortest new music we've ever had.
Exactly. Because like the top 5s and the new music bleeds into each other.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why, like the first half of the episode, we're chatting about like our week in review. Yeah. Right. But like
it's all about the album.
Exactly.
So it's all good. It's our show. We can talk as long as we want.
So that being said,
so top, that one's not there.
Yeah. I also want to guess that the checking out day in the studio.
100%.
Yeah. Because you know what? I forget now if I actually put that onto my top 5 loops moments. Or like top 5.
I feel like I mentioned it at some point.
I don't know. I feel like it might have been on mine at one point in time. But
it's nicer now. I'm going to be honest. It's now that we're a couple weeks into it, the new system. It's nicer that our top 5s are aligned every week because it's easier to kind of remember what we've discussed and what we haven't.
Yeah.
It was different when I'm just like, oh, this is my top 5 favorite moments in Loop so far. Like, and you're like, this is my top 5 favorite golf shots.
Hey,
like,
man, that's why we need a couple episodes, right? To get into the groove 100%. Of it, right? If we knew what we were doing right out of the gate, it would be a very different podcast.
Exactly.
So we're an indie band. That's what we're talking about on this podcast.
This is the diary of us, of the indie band. Yes. So I'll elaborate on that one. I want you to guess the other 2, but well, you can guess the other 4, but I think you're going to get 3. So that's why I'm like, I want you to guess the other 2. Yes, checking out Vocal Day. I've said it on the pod before, I'm sure, and if I haven't, I'll elaborate a little bit. But Doug got another level out of me on that day. He was like, I feel you have one of the great rock voices. There's more in there, and I'm just going to keep pushing you until we get it. And part of that was my fault because on the first day before I ever went in the studio, John, you remember this? We did a little toast.
It was right before you went into the studio.
Right before I went into the actual
I'd already
vocal
done
booth.
all my instrumentals
a couple days.
Yeah.
And it was right before I went in. I was like, I know this is cheesy, but I want to do a toast. Thank you guys all for being part of this. My whole life's been leading up to this moment. I've made albums or not albums, but like releases, singles. I've made my Ravi music, my R&B stuff. There's a whole backstory there.
You always roll your eyes. It's some of those deep cuts, dude.
Some of them are cool.
Gonna be super cool. Yeah,
I know, that's so true. I know you're a bigger fan. Well, I'll get to that later with another pick I made, but that's definitely a teaser. But yeah, I was like, hey, like I've done some stuff before, but this is truly me being authentically Kevin Roy and LooPS and the best version of what I can do as a musician today. And Doug, like I want to ask you humbly, like, please squeeze this freaking lump of coal as hard as you can to make it a diamond. Like,
yeah,
if I won't resist. Like, you just tell me again,
yeah,
50 times in a row until I hit the right note or whatever. Like, I believe that there's something special in me in there, and I think you're the person that can get it out. And Doug's like, challenge accepted. And he did. And he got something out of me so special that day. I hit notes I didn't think I could.
Yeah.
It just gave me a whole new level of confidence that has carried over ever since then.
Yeah.
And I was confident as a singer before, but it was just another level. And
it was something else. You know what? I remember jamming with our sound engineer, Mike Sutcliffe, and he and I were just like at the back of the room while like Doug's like doing the recording and whatever else. And we were just like, man, he is crushing these vocals.
Oh,
like,
really?
He
cool.
is just,
I've never
like,
heard this, actually.
Having
this is awesome.
the time of his life. Like, even though it might have been like one of the toughest like studio sessions for you along the way.
Oh, it was exhausting.
It was probably like the coolest, like out of the studio, outside of the booth kind of moment.
That's
right.
cool.
I think that there were definitely other moments along the way that were cool, like November and whatever else,
absolutely,
right? That we'll chat about later on.
Yeah.
But like while we were in the recording process of things, right? It was just like when I think I recorded Smile on piano. It's just like I didn't realize how good it was until everybody else was like, man, that was awesome. Like, that was way better.
Invested because, well, just to give a background, because this is the point of this app. So Smile is a song I wrote for Sebastian, and I wrote it pre John and I.
Mm-hmm.
And it was written I wrote the actual lyrics, had the lyrics made for the song, and then a friend of mine, Bryce Tinley, he made guitar to the lyrics I had made. So that the guitar just it didn't feel like LooPS, it wasn't LooPS. So John basically now we took the lyrics that I had already made myself as his own independent song, and basically we're like, well, let's make an instrumental that fits us.
Mm-hmm.
We had it on piano, it was really cool, we liked it. Doug was like, we had that song, and actually, sorry, I was even forgetting the major point. Before Doug even gave us the best advice on how to change the complexity and the feel of the song, the initial plan was there's 2 Sebastian songs on the album. All for You, which is written about him, how everything I do is all for Sebastian. And we were going to have as an actual hidden track, it was only going to be 10 songs on the album. Yeah. And song number 11 was going to be... Sorry.
It was going to be 11.
There's 11.
But then one got cut.
Cut, yeah. So the last track, though, was going to be All For You, and then there's going to be a pause, and then just as an ode to all the cool hidden tracks over the years. That's what we had in our mind. It was going to have Smile as a hidden track. Doug was like, you know what? This song, it's got potential. We just need to fine-tune it.
Yeah.
And then as a great producer, that's what they do, right? He saw genius in this, and he's like, no, this is a good song. And he's like, you know... Are you familiar with like early Elton John?
Yeah.
And he's like, can you play that on piano with that kind of frenetic energy? And John's like, I can. He's like, I know exactly what you mean. He's like,
but I've never done it like this.
I've never done it. Yeah.
I've never even thought about doing that, right?
So when you hear the song, guys, know that in the back of your mind. He got him to play at such a frenetic energy 3/4 of the way through. And this is astonishing for me as just John's... Undoubtedly, no offense to your mom, your dad, anybody, Alina, like I'm your biggest instrumental fan. Like that's a fact. And John even lost his cadence 3/4 of the way through. And Doug was like,
well, it's tough, man.
Doug was like, yeah, I feel you, dude.
Yeah.
Doug felt bad. He was like, man, I'm asking a lot here.
The entire song.
Yeah, Doug's like, I'm asking a lot, man, for you to keep the like it's like it was crazy what you were doing. And he's like, I know you can do this.
Well,
like,
and when we recorded it, it was also like 10:30 at night.
Oh my god! And you've done multiple songs already.
I'd done multiple songs already because all the piano songs, barring one that you hear on the album, was all recorded in one night,
in one session,
in
a theater on a grand piano. By the way, beautiful grand piano.
Beautiful. There's pictures of it online.
Have you ever played a better piano in your life?
My dad owned a piano store, so I
Oh yes,
have
that's
played
right.
like a
What am I talking
Steinway
about? Yeah.
grand piano.
Okay,
which
but this is on a
absolutely
top
beautiful.
5 list of greatest pianos you've played.
Yeah, and I mean the difference between me playing this now, which is music that I've written, like the scores
Is
that I've
still
written
different
for
than-
this,
yes.
is different than playing Chopin. Right?
Exactly.
On
Yep.
on that when I'm 16 or something like that.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Very very different.
But
So-
it's just to establish how elite this piano was, just for anyone listening though. Like this was an
But it was
all-time
all-
special piano to
the
play
whole
on.
point is like it was just like all in one night.
100%.
Yeah. So I was tired by this point.
Yeah. So just to put a bow on this part of the story, when John ended up playing it, I think it was the second take. Did you make it to 2 or 3?
No, dude. I think that I had like 4 takes of it.
Yeah.
because we all like clapped along. We practiced it before I ended up
Yes, that's right.
recording a perfect version
just
of
to
it.
keep that cadence because it was
Because-
so quick.
One of the things too is our proper like system for recording went down where you could punch in where you needed to.
Mm-hmm.
So it needed to be a one take.
Yes.
All of the piano
100%.
songs except for one, which we ended up doing as a one taker anyway,
Yep.
were all one takes on that grand piano.
Yep.
So just so we all know, there's 6 songs on the album, I believe, that are all piano. Sorry, there's 5 songs on the album that are all piano
Yes.
songs, and then one of them was recorded after that session off the grand piano,
Yes.
which is One More Story.
One More Story.
So those other 4 songs,
One More Story was recorded on the grand piano, but we just felt, which might
re-recorded
I feel like is going to make your top 5 list, but we went and redid it in one take at the end on our final session.
yeah, exactly. But those 4, were all one takers because they had to be.
Absolutely.
Like that pressure was there, at least like
Yeah.
when we were in the studio recording on the Rhodes piano.
Oh yeah.
Like we knew that we had multiple takes if we needed to. We would stay there for another 3 hours if we needed
Yeah.
to record it or whatever
But this
else.
is like 11 o'clock at night, Campbell River. It's 45 minutes from freaking Courtney where we're staying.
well, and we also
Doug's
recorded,
also recorded his own Vancouver Island Music
we
Fest
also
session.
recorded Risks, which is the 6th. That's why I keep messing up.
Yes.
If it's 5 or 6 songs, that's piano.
It didn't make the
Because
cut
that
after,
one,
but
it got cut from the album.
we just didn't. We weren't feeling it. Once we did a full recording of it too. By the
Yeah.
way, we recorded the whole song. We're like,
And all the vocals and
Yeah.
everything else that we
Yeah.
needed for it.
So, anyways, again, putting a bow on it, John basically got to that final one, and we're all tired. I can't even imagine how you felt, and we're
Oh, yeah.
tired, and we're like, "You can do this, dude. You can do this."
Yeah.
But when you did that set, we roared, man. It was like a sports moment. I'll never forget it. We're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
You got it. Yeah.
So, the point of that story obviously was tying together with how we felt. Same thing for you guys. So that's super cool to hear behind the curtain that as
Yeah.
I was nailing those checking out vocals, because it was cool. Because if you listen to Check It Out, which is out now, it's one of the singles we released. There's a lot of like, it's time to check out now. Like there's a lot of things in it that each time I couldn't just repeat the, it's time to check out now, but I just don't know how. We can't do that 6 times in a row. Like that's just not how a song flows, right?
Right.
So each time we were doing it, Doug would be like, what do you think here? What do you want to do for this next one? And we were trying to come up with cool creative stuff, but I was in such a groove. I was like,
Improvising.
give me a couple seconds and I'd sit there. I remember this and I'd sit there and I'm like, okay, I got it. Let's try this now. Just hit record. And we'd hit it and we're like, I can remember the moment looking at you and I remember looking at you and Mike. So I didn't know you guys were talking about it, but I remember the two of seeing after being like, was that good? And you guys are like the excitement on both of your faces. Cause you're like, he's in a groove. Like he is
absolutely
in batting practice and he's hitting jack after like, that was one of the special moments of my life as a vocalist was that moment. It was like Neo seeing the Matrix. Like it was super freaking cool.
But I mean, like you got to talk about the rest of the day.
Oh yes, of course.
You got to talk because that's the whole experience.
That's the
right?
best part of it.
It's the moment, right? I mean, obviously that was so cool, and I mean, you know, it's on my top 5 is that day as well.
Sick. Okay.
Because I think that's one of the coolest moments that we've had as a band.
Yes.
You know, along this awesome journey that we've had. But talk.
So we
about the
finished
rest
that
of the day.
night, and that was a long day, by the way. I'm really proud of the fact that I think I put like 8-10 hours in that vocal booth that day, if
Just
not
on
more.
the one song, dude.
But dude, I was in there a long time. I was in there. We went
think
for break, came
you
back.
might have
dinner,
done like another one earlier in the day.
Yeah.
Maybe just to finish it up or something.
It was a
like
lot
that,
of time in the studio, just hammering away. And my favorite photo, maybe one of my favorite photos of all time, non-Sebastian
clue,
category for sure. My favorite photo. I had no clue. I was sitting outside. I just finished the session.
You were sitting on the ledge
Yep.
of the
And I was
vocal
spent
booth.
to the world, and John got the most candid, cool photo of me just spent.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of that photo.
Looking up at the stars.
I'm so proud of that photo.
Yeah.
It's amazing. That's
But
an
you're
amazing
just
photo.
drenched in sweat.
Just drenched and
Yeah.
just spent.
Yeah.
And you knew I left every ounce of my soul in there.
Oh, yeah.
So we finished that night. The next day we were going to go meet up after supper. So within the same 24-hour window, we were like, let's go play a round of golf.
Yeah.
And we both beat our personal best by 4 strokes.
Yeah,
both
because
of
I
us.
think that we had a day off. Or
Yeah. I think we were gonna
had
meet
like
up
a
at
half
supper time
Yeah,
or
we had
something.
like a half day off.
Yeah.
So we're just like, you know what? Let's sleep in the morning, but let's go out for a round of
go play
golf.
golf.
Let's see if we can get out there.
Pouring rain,
score,
downpour, and
shoot
I'm
a
like,
score.
we always play better in the rain. We
Yeah.
took some Instagrams, put them on our posts and our wall, and it was incredible, man. We were throwing darts. I always remember like
were.
hole 16, I think. You'll remember, but 16 or maybe it was 17 is that short par 3. No, sorry, it's a
Yeah.
par 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 16 is a par
I'm
3.
like the par 3 that I sank for par.
Yes, that
from
was
like
that was
20
bonkers.
feet out or
that was
something like that.
bonkers.
I was
that
like,
was on Instagram too.
That's like one of my like cool moments from.
And then my
the trip,
one was the par that I got on, I think it was 17. Remember there's that weird tree. So then you have the long par 4.
Dude, that was on the exact same hole that I drained that long putt.
And no. You're thinking of the one that over the water on the left. I'm thinking the one though that there's the fairway. It's a par 4, and then I
okay.
hit the tree on my
Yes.
second shot, my approach shot, and
Yes.
I'm like, great. So I'm under the tree, and then my next shot I drop it within like a foot of the hole, and I'm like, I remember over
Yeah.
sand, and I was
Yeah.
like, dude, what is happening? I remember saying it to you on the
Yeah.
green. I'm like, what is happening with us right now? I was
Exactly.
like, I feel like I can't miss.
I
Like,
know.
what is happening?
But then usually that's the thing. It's like when
It
we
was
play
crazy.
golf and something like that happens, sometimes you overcompensate and then you collapse.
Then I collapsed.
because you're just like,
But
man,
I was
this
just
is
no, I
weird,
was in a zone,
right?
and
but you were just dialed in.
oh yeah, dude, I was at the 79 going into the final hole. Like
Yeah.
ended up at an 83, parred the final hole.
Mhm. And I shot an 87 that day.
You did, which was
So-
4 at the time though. Now you've
It was another 4 strokes
4
off
strokes
of
better
what
than
I
yours.
had. I don't know, like 5 days
personal
previous
best,
or
and
something.
my
like
personal
that.
best was 87 5
Yeah.
days. So we both beat our personal best by 4.
Yeah.
And I remember after I had like a meltdown in the hotel room. I was having an existential crisis. I'm
Oh,
like,
I remember.
I was like, dude, I'm legit. I'm actually having a panic
Yeah.
attack. Like,
Yeah.
this is too good. Like, everything is,
Yeah.
the world is too easy right now. Like, what is happening?
what just happened?
This is,
It's like between the two, right? Just being in the studio and then
I
between
was
that,
like,
I mean,
this
like
is amazing.
that, yeah, exactly.
But I wasn't excited. I was like, no, something bad's going to happen.
I'm gonna wake up. Yeah,
I thought it
exactly.
was
That's
in a
what
dream.
he's-
I'm like, I'm
yeah.
going to wake up, and I don't want to wake up because I really like this
Yeah.
dream. This dream
John,
is
you gotta
too
tell
good.
me if this is a dream.
Like, seriously, I was
Wake
upset.
me up.
Wake me up if this is a dream. You're like, dude, it's not a dream. Relax.
Dude.
You shot an 83. It's not like you shot par.
exactly.
Like, chill out, dude.
Relax. But I mean, that was such a cool moment.
Oh, dude.
And I mean, like, I think that it was a cool moment for both of us, which is why, like, I remember it so fondly because
Same.
I think that,
We both shared it.
you know,
though.
as much as I wasn't in the booth during that day, I remember
But there's validation for you too, because you
walking
believe
around
in
and
me.
just trying to think of different things on the fly, like what we
Yeah.
could do in the booth and what we could change in the vocals and where things are going, and Mike's reaction to so much stuff, and listening
Yeah.
to Doug and, you know, his advice and whatever else like along the way. It was just
the whole thing was a special
it was super,
moment for
super
you
cool.
as well. Yeah, and
Absolutely.
Mike, and
yeah.
So that's number one with a bullet. I think that
I
was
think,
such
yeah.
a cool thing.
Yeah.
Any others that you want to guess that were special for me in the top 5? That one's locked in. What do you think are the other ones? Like I said, I'm pretty confident you'll get 3.
I think, I don't know, maybe Taken Too Soon in the studio. Is it on there?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
I have that one on my top 5 because
Ooh.
that's
I think it was a
super,
special
super-
moment for both of us
Yeah,
for different reasons.
absolutely. Do we want to maybe go through what the rest of the list is? Because I think that
Yeah, why don't I do that now at this point?
Yeah.
I was just
well,
curious
because-
what you could guess.
we'll see what we can like carry over. I think that we're gonna make this into a 2-parter.
Yeah. I think, you know what? Actually, yeah, that's a good idea. So, what are we at right now? Probably 50-ish minutes.
Yeah,
In the 50 minutes now. So we'll finish my top 5.
yeah,
We're going to release them both at the exact same time. So if you're listening to this one, you don't even have to worry. The number episode, like part 2 is already going to be ready to go at the exact same time. We'll do them both right now and we'll upload them both at the same time, but we'll do them so they're more digestible. And then this one, we'll wrap up my top 5 and we'll do yours as well. So, yes, let me finish my top 5 then. So the first one, checking out Vocal Day, new level, but let's get into some good detail on them. Second one, Taken Too Soon. I'll let you elaborate on why it was special for you. For me, so basically here's the backstory. We did Taken Too Soon one of my early days of my vocal days, which was 3 or 4 days of me being in the studio the whole time. It's for anyone that hasn't heard the song yet, it's the last song on the album. And it's a song I wrote a few years back now, about 2011, about 10 years ago now, for my brother Christopher. Now, my brother Christopher, long story short, he passed away when I was 18 and a half, almost 19. He was born with a congenital immune disease called neutropenia, neutropenia is the worst version of he had Costin syndrome, which is the worst version of neutropenia. And your neutrophils are your number one white blood cells. So it's basically kind of like being born with AIDS. Your body can't produce white blood cells enough, and you're very, very sick. And Christopher passed away when he was 6.5 of complications from he had a bone marrow transplant, and he lived for about 10 months after the bone marrow transplant. And unfortunately, his body just had enough. He's been a motivation and inspiration for me every day of my life ever since then. I love him. He's my brother. He's my inspiration. And I wrote that song as my kind of song to honor Chris. Yeah. You know this. It was a special song for me. It was a big deal for me to sing it even in the studio. It was very emotional. And I thought I did good, but then the check-in out day happens.
Right.
And we got to the very end of the whole studio session, last day that we're there, and we're listening to all the songs in order that we'd done. We'd already doubled, and Doug had done some comps, but we'd done enough that we were like, okay, how are all these sounding, right? How are all our rough cuts right now sounding? And I remember you were like, you can get your feedback on this too, obviously, and you'll have your part too, so we'll elaborate more on your part. But you were like, you know what, man? Like, you're not going to like this.
You're really not going to like me right now.
You're not going to like me right now, but I think you can do better. And I was like, are you fucking, like, of all songs, dude, that's the song you pick. Yeah. And I was like, you might be right, but fuck you, dude. Like,
exactly.
Get the fuck out of here.
Like, you don't understand how emotional and tough it is.
How draining and hard that was. So I looked at Doug and Mike, and I'm like,
looking for them to say something, or like hey, whatever, if they, because maybe Doug will chime in and say, you know what, it's like, this is great. Oh, you know what, I think that it's really, really great, like exactly where it is right now, right? But which he absolutely could have done.
Yeah, and he didn't. No, it wasn't bailed out by anybody. No,
he didn't.
And they're all like, hey.
He just kind of kept his mouth shut.
Yeah, and they're like, you know what, this is between you guys.
Yeah.
If you think it can be better, then hey, I mean, that's up to you guys. It's your call. And I'm like, well, fuck, that doesn't help.
It's like,
so then I'm like,
damn it.
Dog. Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, all right.
I'll do it again.
I'll do it, but I'm telling you guys right now, like, I can give you one shot.
Yeah.
That's all I got in me, man. That's all I got. I'm done. And that's it. And if it's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not. But I will give you one, John. I'll give you one. It was such a special moment for us, like just the trust.
Yeah. And we'll chat about that later.
We will on yours as well. So I went in there, went into the booth. I don't remember. I think it got like darker, but I turned around so basically the way the booth is that when I'm where the mic is and stuff, I can see the vocal, I can see the actual like rest of the studio through the window, the way Doug has it all set up. So I can always see John, I can see Doug, I can see Mike at the actual mastering kind of desk. But I turned, I don't know if to make a statement or just to get in my own zone, but I turned the mic around.
Just to get into your zone.
Yeah, maybe to make a statement. I was like, fuck
exactly.
You guys. So I turned,
Jesus Christ.
You're like, this is whole new context to this story.
Exactly.
So I turned the mic around so my back was to you guys. I turned the light down so it was super dark in the room.
Oh, yeah. And then Mike went over and closed all the blinds.
Yeah,
and all
so
that
it was super dark for everybody.
Yeah.
And I remember before I went in though, so I jumped ahead, but Doug was like, you know Cat Stevens? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I want like a Cat Stevens vibe. If you're going to do this again, like sing the song, but talk to me, like make me really feel every note of your emotion. Like, you're going to do this one time and make me fucking like just pour tears out of my eyes, channel that and really make everyone feel every ounce of your pain. I was like, okay, done. So then having that in my mind, I got in there and I just, it was probably the checking out was like a leveling up. This was probably my master course and like my vocal performance. Like I nailed it. And at the end, I was so I was done. I knew I couldn't have another. I'm like, guys, that's all I got.
Mm-hmm.
I think I said it. I turned around, I looked at you guys, and I'm like, was it okay? Like, I didn't know.
You did.
I didn't
you
know.
legitimately
honestly
did. And I think that part of that too is just like, you know, John expects this much out of me.
Yeah.
Was I able to bring what he's looking for?
Yeah.
Because I can't do another one.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I was like, that's all I got. So I was like, honestly,
me,
guys,
it's
I
cool
was
if it's-
serious. I didn't know if it was okay or not. And you were like, and you guys, all three of you were like, what, is he serious? You're like, dude, I'll never forget this. I can actually, I'm not even paraphrasing. I think I can verbatim quote you. You said, dude, we have played that song probably 50 times at least. And I've never heard you do it as good as that.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
And I was blown away. I was like, really? And you're like, oh my God. And you're like, let's listen to it again. So I'm like, Doug's like, come on out, let's listen to it. So I come out, I listen. And then Doug, even as critical as he is, and he's so, that's why we love him so much. Doug listens to it and Doug's like, yeah, there's nothing to fix there. Like this is a one taker.
Yeah.
And so that was a huge, and I don't want to go too deep in this one because I want in part 2 you to talk about your take on it.
Yeah.
Because I think it was a real true special moment for us together.
Absolutely.
Even though we've been together for 2 years at that point.
Yep.
Over 2 years together.
2.5 years by that point.
Right.
Yeah.
But like loops for almost 2 years. And it was a real special moment for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to chat about that later. We're going to come back in part 2. So we're going to keep these to probably around an hour or whatever the second one ends up being. Thanks for tuning into the podcast. Check out part 2. Anything you want to say, Kev?
Cool. Yeah. I guess this is where we'll cut it.
All right. Come back. Listen to the rest of the stories.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys. We're going to play you out here just like a normal episode. And part 2 will be back shortly.
Absolutely.